just when it's
Almost all the reviewers mentioned that Rabbit R1 sucks, and even some experts said that this is the first ever AI scam product, a widely overhyped AI device, a fraudulent product with fake promises that faced harsh criticism and allegations to be the first ever AI scam. What the f*** was that? Never mind. But this video is not just about determining whether this product is a scam or not. This video digs deeply into the hidden secrets of the startup behind creating Rabbit R1 and to find out whether the other startups and AI products are not living to the AI revolution hype. Maybe it's just an AI bubble, or maybe it's not. Bear with me until the end of this video and I promise you will be surprised by the results of this investigation. Before even convicting Rabbit R1 as a scam, let's see what this product actually is, or let me paraphrase that to what was it supposed to be before even being released. The R1 is a new generation of AI-powered gadgets with funky new hardware design. It weighs about the same as an iPhone, and it comes with 128GB of storage and 4GB of RAM. It also comes with a touchscreen, analog scroll wheel, Bluetooth capabilities, an AI-enabled camera dubbed the Rabbit's Eye, and a USB-C charging port. To use the device, users need to push and hold the button on its side like a walkie-talkie that allows them to prompt the R1 with questions and commands. This product was introduced earlier this year, and it aimed to bring artificial intelligence into small, easily accessible form factor, which is intuitive. Check this out.
Hi everyone, my name is Jesse, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rabbit. I'm so excited to be here today to present to you two things we've been working on: a revolutionary new foundation model and a groundbreaking consumer mobile device powered by it. Our mission is to create the simplest computer, something so intuitive that you don't need to learn how to use it. The best way to achieve this is to break away from app-based operating system currently used by smartphones. Instead, we envision a natural language-centered approach. The computer we're building, which we call a companion, should be able to talk to, understand, and more importantly, get things done for you. The future of human-machine interfaces should be more intuitive.
In his keynote that came earlier this year around CES 2024, CEO Jess Liu promised the world with this device. He was adamant that we don't think of this device as a phone replacement, but rather as a gadget that complements the way we use our phones. According to its makers, the sole purpose of Rabbit R1 is to save time and maximize convenience by decreasing the number of taps in our phones. The idea of R1 is to establish a one-time connection with the services you regularly use and subsequently handle them for you by just signing up to one single rabbit hole account, eliminating the need for you to use different dedicated apps on your phone. The R1 currently supports Spotify, DoorDash, Uber, and Midjourney. It shows the ambitions of the Rabbit's R1 for the future, where we don't need to navigate 5 different apps to do 5 different tasks. Instead, it wants the R1 to act like an automated personal agent of sorts. The one that can fulfill some of our everyday tasks like hailing ride, ordering food, and more to come in the future. The one that can be possible with a single voice commands. Liu also promoted the Gadget as a single quick standalone solution for getting things done without getting distracted by the allure of social media or simply by a notification on our phone that we end up spending half an hour on a simple 3-minute task on our phone. An idea that has promise. Another feature that Liu boasted about it is the ability of R1 to understand the natural language and the filler words, which according to him gives an edge over the other AI chatbots. He also guaranteed a context awareness, which means that users can ask follow-up questions on a topic. Those all sounded interesting on paper. Wow, all these great promises in a one single product for just $199. I mean, look at this beautiful orange design by Teenage Engineering. It's a nostalgic design of 19s. I mean, come on, man. Don't be stingy. All these features for less than $200 in one single device. It's great, right? Yeah, it is. If it actually worked, which apparently it doesn't. When the Rabbit R1 released in March 2024, almost all the reviewers, including Marcus Browley, The Verge, and the one and only Stefan Vendyson, aka Cafezilla, criticized the product to the point that everyone knew R1 wasn't working. It struggles with the limited range of services it offers. It often misunderstands the requests or acknowledges them without executing them, or sometimes it ignores altogether. For example, Uber only worked on the second attempt, initially getting both pickup and the drop-off locations wrong. I mean, Uber is the last app one would want to risk an order on. On the other hand, Spotify was an absolute mess. It misunderstood the song and the artist names, and even it couldn't recognize the playlist despite being logged into the account. DoorDash did work, but R1 is the last device suitable for that app. The food ordering process is not as simple as a single voice commands. I mean, going through different options is preferable on a 6-inch device like a phone. Also, Luke claimed that R1 is able to produce a response which is 10 times faster than most of the other voice AI products and can answer questions within a half a second, which is not true, as we saw in the first presentation.
I want to try that one more time, so sorry for that. I'm hungry, get me some McDonald's for food. Hopefully it works. I know the problem is that the TWA, there's a lot of restaurants that wouldn't deliver to here. So let's give it another try, okay? Yeah, I want to be as generous as possible, right? Yeah. So let's wait for a little bit and see if it works.
But he admitted in the conference that the speed for DoorDash is not optimal yet compared to Spotify. And it's because the DoorDash interface, not because the R1 device.
Things like DoorDash, because it's bunch of photos of each items reloading at the same time. So I have to say the speed here is not optimal yet to our standard, but it works. But I want to show you, and I want to be frank with you guys, and this is not as fast as Spotify, but let's make it work. So.
At least he was genuine there. I mean, that's good. Now we come to Midjourney, which required a day of troubleshooting with R1 support team to work. And when it worked, I mean, it's Midjourney. Generating small images on this handheld device makes little sense when we can generate much more and better quality on a laptop. The inclusion of Midjourney on this gadget seems illogical, but for someone that wants to generate random images on a device with a single voice commands, I mean, this might be the product. The vision feature was underwhelming. It is significantly less impressive than Google Lens for describing the objects pointing at, despite the fact that Google Lens is only like 6 years old. When it didn't misinterpret the query, it provided the vague descriptions, which wasn't really useful. There were also unexpected connection drops with Rabbit OS, causing delays every time R1 was trying to resolve issues or execute command. Also, it has surprisingly short battery life. I mean, the fact that the product was marketed as an all-day companion can't last more than 5 to 6 hours is almost comical. So at this point, you might ask why there is no sign of intelligence in this Rabbit R1 device. So where is the AI part? That's a great question to ask because in CES 2024 they promised with the model called the Lamb which stands for Large Action Model that can learn how to perform and complete app-based tasks on behalf of its users. A personal assistant basically, but much more faster and more advanced than LLMs for ChatGPTs. But we saw that it wasn't that fast or intelligent in practice. So what's happening here? I'll come to this point later in the video, but for now I want to refer to the last part of CES 2024 that CEO Lu mentioned and compared the R1 device with the other similar products and competitors like Human AI Pin, the Meta Ray-Ban glass, and the VR from Apple. He made a fun of those devices that they had higher price and they needed subscription and they had a lower functionality compared to R1 at the same time. I mean, yeah, $200 is nothing. It's so cheap for an AI device that actually works. But to this point, we saw that it's not working, and if you ask me, I would choose the Meta Ray-Ban glass every day over R1 device, not the Human AI Pin, because that was a crap too. So to this point, we saw that the expectations and the promises were so different than the actual product. I mean, it's supposed to be the next big thing, not to be rated as one of the top overrated tech products in 2024 so far. I mean, after 10 years of dominance of smartphones, and when the Apple announced by Steve Jobs, it was revolutionary. I mean, both CEOs wore black shirt at CES, with the difference that iPhone worked and it was revolutionary to this point that everyone is recommending this phone to one another. But R1 was basically the worst AI product ever. I mean, the show was good at CES and even they had a car with a plaque of Rabbit R1. But this isn't the end of the story. Something bigger was going on behind this startup that created the Rabbit R1, and the reason why Cafezilla called this product a scam. But before going through the background and the controversies around the startup that created Rabbit R1, don't forget to subscribe and push that like button for me, tech enthusiasts. Let's go. Now we come to the point that I want to go through all the hidden truths, background, controversies, all behind the startup creating Rabbit R1, starting with functionality and delivery. After CES 2024, Rabbit R1 supposed to be delivered on Easter, which failed to deliver on time. Not only this, but the dysfunctionality and the unfinished product when delivered to customers were the actual problem. It wasn't even close to be a smartphone killer. It was like Picasso painting a smartphone on the wall. An inevitable, beautiful design and color, but failed in practice. The second and probably the most controversial thing about the Rabbit startup was its background and the history of the company. After investigation of multiple people, they have found that the original name of the company that created Rabbit R1 wasn't the Rabbit. It was actually something called Cyber Manufacture Co. The founder of Rabbit R1 was accused to be involved in a scam relating to a previous project called Gamma, which was focused on NFTs and crypto. Gamma was a project at the intersection of gaming, community ownership, and Web3, which involved in the sale of NFTs, and they had plans in metaverse and the clean energy crypto coins. Jesse promised a metaverse, a clean energy grid, a negative carbon cryptocurrency, and a comic book, among other things, none of which were delivered. They raised nearly $6 million by the Gamma projects, and they had failed to deliver the promises, and they didn't refund the investors after failing. The Rabbit team stated that they're not going to refund the investors because the project was open source at that time, and also the promises were fulfilled in 3 stages, which was disputed by the critics. Also, one other controversial thing about this was that Rabbit CEO said he would never touch crypto. However, his original company was involved in NFTs and cryptos and even failed to deliver the promises and even refund the investors. He's now trying to distance himself from the past by saying it was just a little fun project. I mean, come on, man. This is like carbon-free cryptocurrency, Web3, metaverse, clean energy. They don't sound fun. They sound so serious that if they are achieved, they had great impacts on the tech side and the AI side. Also, Cyber Manufacture Co. changed the name to Rabbit 2 months before the announcement of Rabbit R1, probably to distance themselves from the previous project involving NFTs and crypto. They have removed all the videos from the Rabbit YouTube channel, and even the CEO mentioned that 18% of the employees were hired after the changing name from Cyber Manufacture Co. to Rabbit's company, and all the videos were deleted because of good intentions. Also, he said that it's quite common among companies to pivot, which means that they had strategically changed the direction and the aim and the focus of the company. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's quite common for a company to pivot unless they had raised $6 million. They failed to deliver the promises, and they were involved in a fake scam crypto and NFT project, and they didn't even refund the investors. By the way, I have created a video on AI art and NFTs, which you can check right here. Now we come to the real question and the real accusation of, does lamb even exist? You've heard the term lamb in this video before. Can you remember? Because in CES 2024, they promised with the model called the LAMB, which stands for Large Action Model, that can learn how to perform and complete app-based tasks on behalf of its users. One of the employees of Rabbit mentioned that the LAMB was only a marketing term for Rabbit R1, and it doesn't actually exist. Even other investigators mentioned that the Rabbit R1 is not an AI device. It is highly automated and is scripted, and it's just another highly automation of ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and it's not an AI. Others even questioned the fact that Rabbit R1 is just another Android app, which was disclaimed by the Rabbit CEO on X platform by explaining the fact that LAMB only exists in cloud and can't be accessed on a phone, nor a phone can interact with them in the same way. It's quite funny. When you search on Wikipedia, Rabbit R1, the first line and the first thing that comes up, it says the Rabbit R1 is GPT 3.5 based Android power. Not to say that Wikipedia is a trustworthy page, but I mean, at this point, after all these controversies and failed promises, this time it's not quite wrong. Even the data privacy is not transparent for Rabbit R1 device. However, the team behind the Rabbit R1 claimed that it can save your information and passport. But how can we find out if they're saying the truth after all these lies? By the way, probably Rabbit R1 is going to chop my head after this video. So after all this overhyping, this functionality, controversial background with facing multiple accusations and allegations, how could Rabbit Startup sell 10,000 units in pre-order to make $30 million and even raise $20 million in venture capitalists? How the investors feel now? I would say terrible after the failed release of Rabbit R1. Or maybe they hope that the updates in the future for this orange device, this eye-catching orange device with this teenage design, would be better. What's the future of R1? Probably if they don't deliver the promises in the future updates, they have to make monthly subscription to be able to still make money and generate revenue from the existing customers. Because with this dysfunctionality and unfinished product, there are not going to be any new customers in the future. I have this question in mind: how a startup can sell an unfinished product to make nearly $50 million? It reminds me of the Y Combinator Management, one of the biggest startup accelerator and venture capital firms in Silicon Valley that has been telling entrepreneurs to how critical it is to ship something as quickly as possible and generate revenue, even if that product is too far from the ultimate realization of an idea. It's quite obvious that both Humane and Rabbit embraced that mantra. However, even the YC says that a new product needs a quantum of utility that lets the early adapters to do something useful they couldn't do before. I mean, I can see that in Rabbit R1. It looks like the early days of Alexa and Siri, just another voice assistant. Many say that this device shows that we are in early steps of this AI revolution, because still there is no sign of intelligence. It's just a large automation. Although the tools like ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, and other stochastic parrots are useful in some contexts, the AI lacks the eye. On the contrary, they just paraphrase and they just generate text that makes sense, which was already done by Prolog in 2011. Also, it's not the first time we see overhyped promises. Do you remember when Devon first came out? The first AI software engineer that I even made a short video about, as well as the false promises of AI agents and double unicorn status valuation. Everyone is scared to lose their job because of AI tools like Sora and Devon that are keeping the future of the filmmaking industry and software developers uncertain. No tool has piqued the Hollywood actors' interest more than OpenAI's Sora, which is capable of generating hyper-realistic clips. This AI tool sparked fear inside many actors, including Tyler Perry, who warned the reporters that without regulation, Hollywood may not survive. Even Mr. Beast ironically told Sam Altman on his X page not to make him unemployed. On the other hand, when Devon AI entered the generative AI realm, the coders were nearly crying. The first AI software engineer that is capable of coding and even developing apps and websites in seconds. Do you think AI will take over these jobs or not? They failed to deliver the promises too, but why? The first conspiracy theory would be the fact that the investors of these failed startups and projects know that these startups will fail, and they want to make the AI revolution look bad in media and be able to cause a winter and buy some time to be able to control the society to adapt to AI. Or maybe AI is the next dot-com bubble of late 90s in which the stock market crashed and the bubble burst because of overinvesting money to tech startups without actually looking at the progress of those tech companies. Both Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg talked about this AI bubble, and let's see what they're saying about this.
I think bubbles are interesting because a lot of the bubbles ended up being things that were very valuable over time, and it's just more of a question of timing, like you're asking, right? Even the dot-com bubble, it's like there's all this fiber laid, and it ended up being super valuable, but it just wasn't as valuable as quickly as people thought. So is that going to happen here? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the next few years. I think AI is going to be very fundamental. I think that there's a meaningful chance that a lot of the companies are overbuilding now, and that you look back and you're like, oh, we maybe all spent some number of billions of dollars more than we had to. But on the flip side, I actually think all the companies that are investing are making a rational decision, because the downside of being behind is that you're out of position for like the most important technology for the next 10 to 15 years.
Right now we are seeing, of course, a tidal wave of money going into AI. NVIDIA, for example, recently became the world's most valuable company, albeit briefly. When you look at market caps like this, do you worry that we're seeing bubble valuations?
These multiples aren't as high as they were, say, during the internet bubble. And the growth is real. I mean, AI is not pets.com. This is something very, very fundamental. So don't take my view on any particular stock, but the growth potential, there will be some big winners in this AI space, which is why you see all the leading tech companies, including Microsoft, putting tens of billions of dollars into not just the back-end capacity, but re-engineering their applications so that you're far more productive.
So you think that the excitement that we're seeing in these valuations is fully warranted by the potential?
The excitement we're seeing, absolutely. Any particular stock, I'm not really commenting on, but we're not out of control. We're seeing a fundamental advance as important as any in the history of digital technology.
I believe AI is not a bubble. I believe we are in early days of the AI revolution, and as we progress, the AI will progress more and will progress exponentially as the Moore's law states, maybe even faster in some cases. And I believe the investors and the government needs to give money and opportunities to AI startups in this AI revolution, as President Trump was saying in his recent debates. The fact that some startups like Rabbit or Humane or Cognition Labs fail to deliver the promises and a good AI product, it doesn't necessarily mean that the other AI startups will fail too. We need to have a big vision, and of course the future looks bright, and we have to make it bright. It's the same for the AI revolution. By the way, if you want to start your own AI startup, I would recommend this book, 0 to 1, which was recommended by Elon Musk as well. Such a great book. Leave a comment and share your thoughts on the comment section below about the AI bubble.